Would you say at that time, so you started with them in 2012?
That's correct.
Okay. Was trans care, healthcare part of that practice, but a little bit under the radar? Was it like, I feel like it's become so much more exposed for all of us. At that time in 2012, did you feel like it was a little bit like kind of still under the radar?
For sure. Yeah, so my first experiences with trans patients were at Feminist Women's Health Center, where I was an RN. They had a trans health initiative, which I think they have again, where they would basically take care of trans masculine folks, so people assigned female at birth. We didn't have any trans women, although we would do labs for them and STI screening and stuff like that, but we didn't prescribe any feminizing hormones, just masculizing. So anyway, that was the first experience I had, because I would like sometimes give them their shot or go over labs or something like that. And then when I went to work at InTown, the doctor I worked with had a lot of trans women that he took care of, so I had to learn about that really quickly. And there weren't really that many resources out there. I mean, WPATH had a standards of care, but those were much more like social medicine focused. The Endocrine Society had guidelines, and that I used those quite a bit. And that was pretty much it at that time for me. Since then, we have my main one is University of California at San Francisco. They have guidelines for primary care of gender affirming, or for gender affirming care. And you know, the language of it has changed so much through the years, and it's just it's pretty incredible. And it used to be that the patients were teaching me, I have to admit. I'm sad to admit that, because what a resilient community of people who really had to learn for themselves and find the providers and tell the providers what they needed. And now I really, really strive to be more of a resource to people, because I think that's what people want, you know. They're not medical people always. But I do still tell patients when they're new patients, I'm like, if you come across something that I haven't mentioned before that you want to kind of try, please bring it to me. I think a lot of providers don't like it when patients Google stuff, you know, and all that stuff, which, you know, that can be annoying to you. But I always encourage it.
I remember you're saying how interesting it is to watch a person take hormones and have a shift in, you know, their kind of, not personality, but maybe the way that they handle themselves, and then a person take testosterone and do the same. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So there's a couple of different things there. So the first, everyone who does gender affirming care talks about the smile when people come back and they've been on hormones, and you ask them, how's it going? And or when they come to you and they're so nervous and they don't know if you're gonna believe them or agree to prescribe or whatever, and when you say, okay, we're gonna get you started today, the smile is like it's amazing. So it's really, really cool. It's a real gift to be able to experience that. And then, yeah, when they start basically going through puberty again, it is really, really wild to watch that and to help folks through it. You know, as a medical provider, I don't get to spend as much time talking to them, and I definitely lean on my mental health team members for sure to help with that. But I do get little bits and pieces of it. I remember early on, there's anyone who does primary care or really a lot of different areas of healthcare knows this feeling where sometimes you'll have somebody on your schedule that day and you're like, oh, I think I have a sore throat. I think I gotta go. And you don't really know what that's about. And I started noticing that would happen. And it's a variety of different people, and it depends on your mood too, you know, and I'm just being real here. But I started noticing a lot of times it was newly started HRT for trans women. And I was like, what is that about? Like, I was recognizing a bias I had, obviously. And so I really, really thought about it. And I realized, I was like, we're basically putting people on teenage level hormones. So these are like 15-year-old girls, even, no matter how old they are. And I was like, oh, yeah. I see. So as soon as I realized that, I loved it. I just jumped into it because I was like, I remember what that felt like. It's crazy. It's like insane going through puberty. And so that was really interesting, And of course, I'm generalizing hugely, but like that is true. And then with testosterone, many times people have been living as a lesbian or like a butch lesbian maybe, but still female. And then with testosterone, it's a pretty strong hormone. And a lot of times people grow a beard, their voice changes. A lot of times society starts seeing them as a man right away or pretty quickly. And that can be a real trip, especially for like older trans guys, to go through that and see how society moves around men differently than they move around women.
Mm-hmm.